The video that you're about to see is for entertainment purposes only. Everything I say in this video is alleged.
Now what I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about the predictions of 2025. Now, I'm not here to scare you. I don't give a fuck about what you feel. I'm here to tell you the truth. That's all I care about. So this is what we're gonna have. This is what's gonna happen in the year 2025. By the way, this video is for entertainment purposes. Everything I say is alleged. Everything's for entertainment purposes only. Okay, I want the man in black coming for my ass. Okay, I'm just wanting to let you know. Anyways, excuse me, Jesus. So 2025 is the year of war. It's a spiritual year. 2 + 2 + 5 = 9. Any of y'all that are born on the 9th, the 18th, and the 27th, this is your year. Now, if you operate bad, it can be a bad year. If you operate good, it can be your best year ever. Sometimes you can die in that year, depending on how you operate. 2025 is going to be a year of climate change. As you can see, it's raining. What is going to happen, it's going to get colder. When I say colder, I'm talking about 30-something degrees, which is not normal. Remember, I told you guys, 2023 was a closed chapter. 2024 is the beginning of a new chapter. It's going to get deeper. It's going to get crazier. But I need y'all spiritually to be prepared. That's the reason I'm here.
Who would have thought? You know, we've all had a really big lesson.
What is it?
In that our experience of reality can change in a moment.
Well, you know, I know they were messing with the water, letting reserves go for one reason or another. They've been doing that a while. California has a lot of problems that sort of baffle the mind as far as why they do things. And then in the events like this, you sort of look, oh, is it on purpose? Which, it's an insane thing to think. But one begins to ponder whether or not there is a purpose in mind. What could it be, you know? I don't know. Do they want the state empty? I don't know.
Because if it takes out Mandeville, it could take out Brentwood. It, you know, just come roaring down here.
To get your head around that, when you're hearing this in January, a fire that's already taken out the Palisades.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? You know, we've all had a really big lesson.
What is it?
In that our experience of reality can change in a moment. You know, and that's something that we just have to let God handle. You know, I think there's a spiritual awakening on the other side of this, because it's going to make us all a little wiser and more compassionate.
This morning, Southern California wildfires putting firefighters to the test.
This is still a very active firefight.
The Encino and iconic Brentwood neighborhoods among those ordered to evacuate after the Palisades fire changed direction, spreading east. That dramatic shift in winds causing this, flames coming down the Mandeville Canyon. Firefighters are doing their best to save these nearby homes.
Right now, fire crews in Los Angeles racing to contain an out-of-control wildfire, bracing for more strong winds to threaten their progress. 16 victims are confirmed dead, and more than 100,000 remain evacuated.
Nearly 10 million people across Southern California are under a red flag warning and fire weather watch through Wednesday. Progress made by firefighters over the past few days could be in jeopardy.
These winds, combined with low humidities and low fuel moistures, will keep the fire threat in Los Angeles County high.
As the fires spread, over 150,000 people are under evacuation orders and 160,000 are under evacuation warnings. The Eaton fire has burned over 14,000 acres and destroyed and damaged 7,000 structures. The Palisades fire now expanding in other directions, leaving behind over 21,000 acres scorched.
Homes here in the Mandeville Canyon have burned as the Palisades fire rages on for hours with no clear end in sight.
When we first started out in this area about an hour ago, the air was relatively clear. Now the wind has shifted and now we're back in the smoke.
LA's police chief says a new task force will investigate the cause of the catastrophic fires.
This task force is made up of local, state, and federal partners designed to investigate the cause of these fires and to see if there's any connection between them.
On Saturday, law enforcement warned people who have been driving up to get a closer look at the blazes to stay away.
And they, on a moment's notice, will do it and put their lives on the line.
Final words, my friend. Do you want to give any comfort to your fellow neighbors here in Mandeville Canyon and the people, the thousands of people that are affected, whether they've lost their homes, forced to evacuate, or fearing that they will lose their homes?
Power of prayer is very powerful, and I would recommend that. And I'm praying for all of you, and if you're all praying for me, then that's a powerful thing. It really is.
We're in this together. Is that the bottom line here, sir?
What's that?
We are in this together. This is
That's
where
right.
the community is coming through.
That's
you may
right,
be
Paul.
Dennis Quaid, and I can talk him in the third person. He's not going to call me Robert Kovacic because we are doing this together, right, Dennis? We are
Yeah,
in
that's
this
right.
together. This
Dennis
is
Quaid
community.
wants to put out the fire. That's right.
Dennis Quaid wants to put out the fire, and I know Dennis Quaid wants to go home.
It's not the day after tomorrow. It's today, okay? That's right.
It is not. I won't ask you what you're wearing, and I won't ask you what your new project is. I won't ask you what the next film is. I promise I will skip all of that. But thank you for finding levity in what has been a very
It's a
dark
hell of
and
a red
bleak
carpet, isn't it?
Well, honestly, the entire perimeter is threatened. Although we are 11 and 15% containment for the Palisades and Eaton, respectively. The concern is these winds as they go back and forth. You know, Adam did a great job of pointing out all the weather of the Santa Ana winds. One of the elements that we look at as well, though, is that all that air ends up being a pocket off the ocean. Well, as soon as the winds stop, the winds go the other direction. So we've been dealing with these battling winds that threaten every inch of that line, which is why we're being so cautious with the containment percentage. But there are also population centers. Now, when we have 60 to 100 mile per hour winds like we saw on Tuesday and Wednesday, that's just simply not going to be sufficient, which is why we struggled so early on this fire, because it was just blowing so incredibly fast.
Okay, last question for you before we go, Chief. I asked you what you have available to you today. Is it satisfactory for what you need to fight these fires? You know, I don't want to push you into the blame game unless you feel like it's warranted. But if you look back on how prepared you guys were, what was made available to you in the beginning stages of these fires, do you feel like you were best served to fight these fires from the authorities in terms of water and everything else you need?
Yes, actually we did. We moved a number of resources from CAL FIRE from the north because they have sufficient rain and snow up there, all the way down to Southern California to prepare. We didn't know where the fires were going to be, so that as soon as we did have a fire break out, we immediately engaged.
Can I just say, excuse me, we have not met the star of the show. So can you guys stay with me? I'm my photographer, Susan Monroe, dog lover. Okay, Dennis, you didn't mention the star here.
Well, she was indisposed. This is my star. This is Peaches.
Peaches is safe?
Yeah, Peaches is safe, right, Peachy?
Peaches, keep an eye out, please, because I'm not sure he's going to be able to see out the back window. Turn your windshield wipers on because your car is covered with ash. It looks like a snowy day, and this is not Montana.
She reads my butts. I'll see you later.
Bye, Dennis. Thank you. So, there you have it. celebrities, Colleen and Michael. They're people just like us. And it's fair just to sort of talk about the fact that there have been a number of celebrities that we know that have lost their homes, a number of celebrities who have been evacuated. And it is important to note that there will be a time, and we will see it during the award season, and we will see it in the coming months, and we'll see it in the coming years, that, people that have a platform will be able to use this to be able to call and to remind people that this is going to be a very long procedure for our community to be rebuilt. And we're going to do it and do it together. But as we leave you, those firefighters that I talked about that had just arrived from Washington told me that they were waiting for their marching orders, and they have gotten their marching orders, and they are right now trying to hit this fire before it spreads any farther east. We're live here at Mandeville and Sunset. I'm Robert Kovacik. Let's go back to you.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? I hope y'all all having a blessed day. Happy New Year's. We are in 2025, and like I said, guys, it's an interesting year already. My heart and condolence goes out to the people in LA and the animals in LA. It's unfortunate, but there's a lot of questions that needed to be answered. There's a lot of people who were hitting me up, asking me when I was going to put out this video. And I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm just going to wait this out. I'm just going to see what comes out, because I didn't want to be too quick to come out with an opinion. So I kind of wanted to wait, and kind of let things breeze on. Let me tell you one thing the Bible says. It says, be slow to speak and quick to listen. Remember that, y'all. Be slow to speak and quick to listen. So, I've been trying to figure out what has been going on lately when it comes to these fires in LA. Now this, I knew something was coming. I just knew it was something that was going to come this year. I just couldn't put my hands on it. And the color that I kept seeing was the color red. Spirit told me the theme of 2025 is the color red. I think it's kind of strange that during a time like this, you would think our government would be there to, show compassion. But no, they were at Jimmy Carter's funeral.
So let's start by talking about who was and wasn't there. So basically, all of the living former U.S. presidents, vice presidents, and first ladies were in attendance, down to Dan Quayle, honey, with the exception of Dick Cheney and his wife, who did not attend, and Michelle Obama, who said, when they go low, I don't go to no funeral where I'm going to have to be next to Donald Trump. Bloop. Mm-hmm. And of course, Barack Obama, former President Obama, who went solo, winds up seated right next to Donald Trump, who could not stop gabbing with him. He literally leaned over, starts chatting with Barack Obama. Barack Obama, I don't know if he was trying to be polite or what, got in on the gab. And this gab fest went on all the way up until the start of the ceremony. And you're not supposed to talk in church. So God only knows what they were chatting about. But it is very clear that Donald Trump really, really, really wants Barack to be his friend. Clearly, Michelle was like, deuces, you can do that alone, Barack. Now let's talk about the Bushes. Okay, so here are the Bushes walking in, George W. Bush and his wife. They come in for former First Lady, okay? They pass right by Donald Trump. No greeting. They greet the Pences. They greet Al Gore, who's now divorced, so he's there alone. And And now watch this, the little tummy tap. Look at that, little tummy tap. Okay, now for sure, the most awkward moment of the day goes to Donald Trump and Mike Pence. He goes in for the handshake, but note, Mrs. Pence does not leave her seat. She's like, yeah, we're not going to stand up for the guy who tried to get my husband lynched. Not doing that. She was like, hell to the no. All right, next moment we're going to talk about are the Clintons. The Clintons did greet the Gores, very warm toward the Gores. Not a lot of interaction, though, with Donald Trump. They didn't even really seem to look at him. They just sort of talked to the Bushes, talked to the Pences, and sat their behinds down and were like, we're not talking to you, Donald. This is not happening on today. So now you've got that whole second row seated, but there's still more drama to come. Let's talk about the Emhoffs. Madam Vice President Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff came in and they were about business. They were like, we greets nobody, we speaks to nobody, no Clintons, no Pences, and definitely no to the Trumps. Literally zip zero, no interaction whatsoever. Didn't even look at the Obama. I didn't even look at former President Obama. Like literally they were like, nope, face forward. We're not talking to you. We're not talking to nobody. Okay. We about business up in here. We don't have to be polite. When they go low, we sit in the front row and don't say nothing to nobody. Literally ice baby. No interaction whatsoever. While back in the second row, Trump is still in Obama's ear. He will not stop talking to this man. What is happening? Like, does he want him to be his bestie? Like, he really seems obsessed with making Barack Obama like him. But VP Harris was nonplussed, and Doug Emhoff, he keeps it really real. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep it real, even at this funeral, because we shall not be talking. We shan't. We shan't be communicating with anyone in the second row. Note that Melania literally never stopped staring forward. I think she might have greeted one person, but other than that, no. Here's a close-up of VP Harris, looking very chill, but definitely not looking in the second row. Lots of interesting dynamics at this funeral today. Lots of stoic faces, and not a lot of interaction between the first and second rows. One wonders about the dynamics inside the Democratic Party. Now moving on to the entrance of the current president of the United States and Jill Biden. Joe and Jill Biden come in and look what they do. Now, this is the sitting president of the United States, the current guy. Literally, they walk in, they sit down, they greets nobody. Literally, not even eye contact with VP Harris and Doug Emhoff. No eye contact with the Clintons, no eye contact with the Bushes, literally no eye contact at all. Awkward. The other dynamic that people were noting in the socials is Donald Trump's failure to put his hand over his heart during the end of the ceremony when everyone else had their hands over their hearts and he did not. We did see some warmth between the Emhoffs and George W. Bush. One of the very interesting dynamics here is that everyone seems to like the Bushes better than these Democrats seem to like each other, which is a very interesting dynamic. Strange days indeed. And so much tea. Funerals just bring out all the interesting dynamics, don't they? In the family? Peace.
Anyways, I'll talk about that more in the video. But I do want to say there is a major shift that is coming in 2025. Those of you who are already spiritually aware, you're already feeling it. We're going to do a reading on this. We're going to see what's really going on, and we're going to hear what Spirit has to say about all of this, because this ain't something that God would do. This isn't something Spirit would do. One thing I would tell you guys is Spirit will always give you a sign. He will always give you a sign. You just got to know how to higher your vibration and listen. So during this time, a lot of people been in my DMs. You know, those of you who want to add me on Instagram, go to my oh, by the way, I'm sorry guys, this is the gossip. If you want to get all my latest videos, click the bell so you can get all my notifications. I am doing readings. Put down in a comment if you want a reading. I will reach out to you. I'm not doing emails anymore because somebody has my email and somebody been hacking me. Somebody's been disguising themselves as me, and that's not me. So I just want to put it out there. My name is Dion. This is Dion's Affinity. I am your psychic tarot reader. I've done so many predictions. Speaking of predictions, guys, I have one that's coming up. Remember when I said that there was going to be something in my 2025 reading about Hamas? Remember I said something was going to come? Check this out. When it comes to the war, because you know how we said World War III is here, you know it's been here, obviously. I see that when it comes to the Middle East, there's going to be, the war will continue. And I feel like Hamas will lose the war, okay? Next reading.
Before I take office. All hell must be paid if they don't release the hostages.
You know what that means, don't you? Well, do I have to define it for you? Look, all hell will break out. If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
Can you elaborate?
And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is. And they should have given them back a long time. They should have never taken them. But I tell this, I don't want to hurt the negotiation. If the deal isn't done before I take office, which is now going to be 2 weeks, all hell will break out in the Middle East. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. President.
You've done a great job.
Thank you.
Can you tell us what you said to Prime Minister Netanyahu in your call on Saturday?
Yeah.
And have you spoken to President Putin since your election?
Well, I'm not going to comment on the Putin question, but I will comment on Bibi. We had a very good talk. We discussed what is going to happen, and I'll be very available on January 20th, and we'll see. As you know, I gave warning that if these hostages aren't back home by that date, all hell's going to break out, and very strong.
Mr. Netanyahu, about a ceasefire deal, you said if they don't have one by the time you take office, there will be hell to pay.
We're going to see what happens.
Have you spoken to Mr. President? Do you
They better let the hostages come back soon.
When it comes to the war, because you know how we said World War III is here, you know it's been here, obviously. I see that when it comes to the Middle East, there's going to be, the war will continue. And I feel like Hamas will lose the war. Stay tuned, because it's going to happen. So anyways, we're going to talk about that, guys. We're going to do a reading on the fires. We're going to do a reading on this mysterious fog. I've been wanting to follow up with you about that. We're going to talk about the mysterious fog that's been going on. And we're going to talk about the drones that people have been seeing. And people have been thinking that they're aliens. And then I got one last thing to talk about before she drops something. I'm going to talk about Beyonce. Now, I know y'all been hearing like, oh my God, why you keep bringing up Beyonce? What Beyonce got to do with this? It's a lot she got to do with this. I'm not saying this is her fault. No, I never say that. What I do want to say is, I'll save that at the end of the video. Stay tuned if you're still watching. But anyways, I just want to let you guys see these few clips on what's been happening, and then we'll get back to my commentary and our readings. So y'all check these videos out.
Trying for years to destroy Western civilization, well, this is what it looks like. They finally did it. Primetime's calling for a federal takeover of California. When a state becomes this dangerous and the government becomes this reckless, where the lives of millions of American citizens are being destroyed, Their homes obliterated, their infrastructure annihilated. Look at what we're seeing. This is a war scene.
One of LA's wealthiest suburbs, in the grip of an inferno, raging and unremitting. Pacific Palisades is home to film stars and billionaires, but this is one of Mother Nature's terrifying levelers. People watch in disbelief, their community being ravaged. January isn't normally wildfire season, but these aren't ordinary conditions. Blazes fueled by the strongest winds here for decades.
This is surreal. This is unbelievable. I've never seen it like this. I grew up in the Palisades.
Are you worried about people being trapped in their homes?
Oh, absolutely. I've already watched most of my neighbors leave.
A chunk of land the size of San Francisco has been destroyed. Some of the most beautiful land in the world. Parts of Pacific Palisades look like Hiroshima after the atomic bomb.
Some of Hollywood's biggest stars have been caught up in the devastation of the Los Angeles wildfires. Many have watched as their homes burned and went up in flames. Hollywood Walk of Fame member Billy Crystal and his wife Janice have confirmed their home of nearly 5 decades has been destroyed. In a shared statement, the couple says, "Words cannot describe the enormity of the devastation we are witnessing and experiencing. We ache for our friends and neighbours who have also lost their homes and businesses in this tragedy." Emmy Award winner and comedian Eugene Levy evacuated the area, describing the smoke as very dark as he left. His home has been destroyed. Socialite Paris Hilton shared on social media that she's lost her Malibu home. "Heartbroken beyond words. Sitting with my family, watching the news, and seeing our home in Malibu burn to the ground on live TV is something no one should ever have to experience."
Thousands of Southern California residents have made harrowing escapes as devastating wildfires bear down on the Los Angeles area. Some fled by foot, some by car, and some by the grace of Good Samaritans. There are now 6 fast-moving wildfires raging around LA County, including the Pacific Palisades blaze and the Eaton fire in Altadena. The 6th fire, called the Sunset Fire, broke out last night in the Hollywood Hills area. Officials say the fires have killed at least 5 people and have burned down nearly 2,000 homes and structures, including ones owned by celebrities Billy Crystal, Mandy Moore, and Paris Hilton.
I talked to a fireman once. This is one of the reasons it freaked me out. He goes, "Dude, one day," he goes, "it's just going to be the right wind and fire's going to start in the right place and it's going to burn through LA all the way to the ocean and there's not a thing we can do about it." I go, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, we just get lucky." He goes, "We get lucky with the wind." He goes, "But if the wind hits the wrong way, it's just going to burn straight through LA and there's not going to be a thing we can do about it."
A nightmare that no one can wake up from. That's what they're saying in LA.
As the fire absolutely raged, this is the view from the San Fernando Valley. This is what residents saw last night as mandatory evacuation orders were issued and folks in the Encino neighborhood south of Ventura Boulevard rushed to get out of their homes. The hills above Sherman Oaks, Encino, and Tarzana lit up with fire as that Palisades fire made its way to the ridge and began threatening homes on the other side again of Pacific Palisades. The aerial firefight we saw was intense. At one point, LA City Fire and assisting agencies had 10 water-dropping choppers and planes in the air, putting everything they had on this fire to stop it from moving into yet another densely packed residential area. Evacuation orders again were immediately issued, forcing thousands of people from their home. We saw them coming down Havenhurst, down Balboa, getting out of the area. Many of those folks this morning, including friends of ours, are staying in hotels and with family members. Evacuation centers have also been opened in the San Fernando Valley as the fire continues to spread. Now take a look at the Pacific Palisades side of the fire. Mandeville Canyon, the fire there also continuing to rage. And with only 11% containment this morning, this firefight is far from over. Now, yesterday, the folks who live in the hills in Encino, above, south of Ventura Boulevard, Encino Hills, Havenhurst, all of those streets right there, they had the fire burning right there on the ridge. But I want you to look at these pictures sent to us from Van Nuys. Hold on one second. Take a look at those pictures sent to us from Van Nuys. This had folks 5 and 8 miles away from the actual ridge of the fire, worried that they too would have to evacuate. And a lot of folks in the San Fernando Valley have already been on edge. And one of the reasons is because of all those erroneous evacuation alerts they received. And yesterday, when they saw what we're looking at in those pictures right now, they worried they were going to have to get out, even though they were at least 8 miles from the ridge of the fire.
Even Morning Joe can't defend this. And they've defended everything. And I mean everything.
We don't know the exact causes for the complete failure of government to be able to protect these homes. I don't think we can say it's a smelt alone. We don't know what it is, but I do think it's going to be like Hurricane Katrina. I mean, the infrastructure has been slashed. It's hard to hear people say in one of the richest cities in the world that, we don't have enough water to protect people's homes.
We're witnessing the collapse of liberal society. Everything's on fire, falling apart at the same time because of stupidity, corruption, and radical priorities.
Just seen your report there, Martha. Really dramatic stuff. How are things where you are right now?
Terrifying for the people in this local area. I don't think that's an overstatement. It's a very long and scary night ahead for the people in this part of LA. You can see behind me one of these hills on fire. This was actually a community of temporary homes which have gone up, community after community here in flames. And I can't overstate also how much of a problem these winds are. Winds already 80 miles per hour. They're threatening to take my feet from under me. And they're expected to get even stronger in the coming hours, up to 100 miles per hour. And that's a problem because it means that these embers that you see, they may possibly spread and make another larger fire in these areas. So it is a very, very uncertain time, uncertain, scary hours ahead. 30,000 people have already been ordered to evacuate.
It's so big, it's so red. My thoughts and prayers are with everyone tonight. I'm really praying this stops soon.
I have never seen flames from my house like this, ever. This is insanity.
Oh my gosh. That's so hot, honey!
This is absolutely the worst fire I've ever seen in my life. And just this morning, I woke up and I was really conscious of my mental state and my mental health because the last 3 days, I've seen such tragedy.
I can't reach anyone to see if my house is okay. And I just Googled it. And it said that it's destroyed an entire block. I don't want to say it on my street. So I don't know if my house is there.
Standing in my driveway getting ready to evacuate. We've got a lot of planes going over, dropping water, but
Thank you for tuning in to The Gossip. To watch part 2, click on the next video. And remember, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. Spirit never lies.